This weekend is UFC 296. It's one of the biggest card of the year, to be honest. A ton of great fights. I posted a deeper dive on the main channel, basically, and I did all the main. I did all the main cards, fights breakdown, and kind of like went over it. So if you haven't watched it, go watch the deeper dive. It's a very, very good video. I also posted a breakdown on Patreon on like the YouTube storytelling and script for that specific deeper dive as well. So we have absolutely zero reason to tell you how great the story is when we can just tell you the story. If you guys are interested, you could go and watch this. But today we're going to do specific predictions. I haven't done my prediction. That's not what I do on the main channel. Over here is where I do my predictions, and it is a stacked card. I mean, I'm looking at the main card here, and every single fight on here is very, very interesting. But even on the prelims, like you have Cody Garbrandt versus Brian Kelleher, you have Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell, you have Irene Aldana versus Carol Rosa. I don't know who that is, to be honest, but all I know is that Irene Aldana went from main eventing against the greatest female fighter of all time in a pay-per-view to the prelim cards, which is crazy. You guys can see the dynamic with the women's MMA. It's insane. You can go from fighting for the championship on the main event of a pay-per-view to the prelim cards. It's insane, but she didn't perform very well, so I understand. But imagine anybody in the men's division fighting for the championship and then being on the prelims. Have that ever happened before? Has that ever happened before? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But so I'm gonna go over the main card and start at Vicente Luque versus Ian Garry. I've put up some notes. I've went and rewatched some fights, went on Shirt Dog, try to do my studying a little bit before I do these predictions. Even though in the end, MMA is the most unpredictable sport on earth. A lot of people sometimes ask me, do you bet? Do you even there's some brands sometimes, for the fighting business, some casinos, they're trying to pay me to promote betting stuff. I don't do it personally just because I know the sport is just so unpredictable. In this matchup, I'm going to pick Ian Garry. Yes, I am. I know a lot of you guys don't want him to win. I personally don't want him to win either. But I'm going to try to be unbiased, even though I am biased in the end. But if I were to pick, with my brain, it would be Ian Garry. My heart wants Vicente Luque to win, but realistically speaking, Ian Garry is good. And as much as, he might be a cuck or whatever at home, whatever he's doing is his business. But in the octagon, he's good. And he's proven that. He's gotten clipped a few times. Maybe his chin is a bit suspect, but realistically speaking, on the feet, he's super big. He's super long paws. 6'3" for welterweight already is very, very unique. You don't see that often. And as a striker, he's super good. And he's going up against another striker in Vicente Luque. He's not like a grappler. He's not going to try to take you down. Vicente Luque is a striker. He goes in there to try to strike, and that's why I think it favors Ian Garry in a matchup like this. When you have maybe, a Shavkat Rakhmonov who's a good striker but also can take you down, for Ian Garry, that could cause you some problem just because of the fear of the takedown as well, right? I don't see Vicente Luque trying to shoot. I don't see him even feinting for takedowns, in my opinion. He could. It'd be a smart move, but I don't see it happening. I think Luque is going to try to strike as usual. And when it comes to striking, I think Ian Garry has more crispier technical striking, even though Luque is good. But what makes Luque a bit, I can't trust Luque is because his durability has been lacking a little bit, you know what I mean? Especially recently in that Jeff Neal fight, it seemed like he gets clipped. Obviously, Jeff Neal's a hard striker, a hard puncher, but it just seems like he's not as durable as I would hope for. And against Ian Garry, you're gonna get tagged. You're gonna get tagged, you're gonna get punched, and you have to be able to take it. Where I would see Vicente Luque having the possible, opportunity to win would be at the end. Would be late second, third round, where Ian Garry's maybe gassing out a little bit and Vicente Luque's putting the pressure. But you have to go through the first round and a half of Garry being fresh, powerful, explosive, and I don't think Luque is going to be able to do that. So I'm picking Ian Garry by TKO in the second round, maybe early second round. So yeah, like I said, I think he's too big, too long. I'm going to go Ian Garry, unfortunately. Hopefully I'm wrong, because it would be fun to see Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett in the lightweight division. That's another very, very great fight. And I know. This is another one. Listen, as I was doing these prediction video and I was like looking at the fights and statistic, it's a great fight, but we might be crying at the end of this fight card. Let's be honest. There's so many guys that we would like to see lose, but unfortunately might win. And yes, I'm picking Paddy Pimblett, unfortunately. Tony Ferguson in this matchup has the highest probability of victory out of all the 6 others, and I still don't think he's gonna win this. So that's how low it gets for Tony. I love him, but I just don't think he should be fighting anymore. And as bad as Paddy is, I think he has enough tools to beat Tony Ferguson, especially on the ground. You know, if Bobby Green can submit you, I've said that in the deeper dive. If Bobby Green can submit you, Paddy can do it. Can do it too. And Paddy's very, very good on the ground. So I don't know if he's gonna try to like shoot for takedowns or whatever, but what I'm seeing is Paddy might wobble Tony, you know, might brawl a little bit in the pocket, clips Tony a few times, and then, you know, they get on the ground in a scramble, and Paddy probably finds a choke or an armbar or something, and then, yeah, this is the way I'm seeing it. I'm going to call it a submission in the 3rd round. Like I said, I think Paddy just has slicker jiu-jitsu, more explosive as well on the feet. Tony's punching power is not there. He's not going to be able to deter Paddy from coming in. And you could see, like, as bad as Paddy's striking is, he's tough, he's durable. Like in that Jared Gordon fight, he was getting his head popped back, but kept, you know, fighting forward. So, yeah, that's who I'm going. That's who I'm going with. Unfortunately, Paddy Pimblett submission in the 3rd round, and hopefully we get Tony to just walk away. That's his 10th loss now. You know what I mean? He was at 26-3. And now he's 26-9, 6-fight losing streak. And now, if my prediction is correct, he'll be at 10. It's just time to go away, unfortunately, Tony. We love you, but moving on. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Thompson. Yeah, I'd be stupid to pick Stephen Thompson here. Let's be honest. When you look at ways to victory, Shavkat just has much more. Stephen Thompson's 40 years old. Like, he's good. He's a great striker, but his last fight was against Kevin Holland, who's a one-dimensional kind of, especially at welterweight, not much power. I feel like at middleweight he had much more power, Kevin Holland. So, Stephen Thompson's been fighting, you know, one-dimensional guy who's when he won, and, you know, against Bilal Muhammad or against, who was it against, the other guy that, like, ragdolled him? Sean Brady? No, Gilbert Burns. Yeah, Gilbert Burns and Bilal Muhammad just basically out wrestled Stephen Thompson recently, and I think this is most likely gonna happen again. But I don't think Shavkat is gonna be like shooting for takedowns, like scared takedowns a little bit. I think he's not gonna be afraid to strike with Thompson. He's very tough as well. Shavkat's the type of guy that can take a punch, and what I think is going to happen is they might, strike a little bit, brawl. Stephen might jab, leg kick him a few times, but Shavkat, when he lands, he's going to hurt Stephen Thompson and might drop him. And what I see is Shavkat just not being scared to go on top and fighting on the ground and staying there, and probably like hit him with some very, very good ground and pound until the finish in the 1st round. So it's going to be that's what I'm picking. I'm picking Shavkat 1st round TKO by ground and pound. I think, like I said, the scenario I'm envisioning is just Shavkat and Stephen like on the feet striking, and Shavkat getting the better of it just with his power and timing, and then on the feet, on the ground, just like dominating him probably. So Stephen Thompson had a great run, but 40 years old, especially as a striker, it's difficult to succeed in this game, because it's probably the first things that go away is your speed, your reflexes, your chin. Those are things that go away the first. So look, he's had a great performance in his last fight, but against Shavkat is just a different beast. It's not Kevin Holland you're going up against. So Shavkat Rakhmonov, most likely the next welterweight champion, in my opinion. Let's move on. Flyweight division, Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. This is a fight that I've been, going back and forth with. I've watched, the footage, their first fight. There's a lot to take, into account here, because, look, Brandon Royval is very, very good. And in the first fight, he had his moments. He had his moments of, he was pressuring Pantoja against the cage a lot. And he's fast. He's very, very fast, long as well for the flyweight division. But I just don't think it's enough. It's enough to break Pantoja in any way. You know what I mean? The difference is Brandon Royval is kind of fast and snappy. He throws his jab really fast and throws a lot of combination, especially in scrambles as well. He moves very, very fast. Pantoja's more like a tank. You know what I mean? And in their first fight, what happens? He would get popped in the face, and then he would just find some like crispier shots over the top, maybe some counters and stuff like that. And that fight against Pantoja was what, 2-3 years ago? Whenever their first fight happened, it was 2-3 years ago. And that fight with Moreno that Pantoja had also like showed a big improvement because his cardio lasted for the whole 5 rounds. He stayed consistent. He stayed calm and composed throughout the whole 5 rounds. And I think that's going to help him as well in that fight. Like I said before, I think Royval might, snap and touch him a few times. But when Pantoja touches you, it's different power. And I know Royval's durable as well, but in his fight against Matt Schnell 2 fights ago, he got rocked. So I know there's not a lot to take here. It could be like very back and forth, and Royval could very, very easily find a submission as well. His jiu-jitsu is insane. Like in that first fight, he almost had like an ankle lock or something. So his submissions are amazing, but Pantoja is just so calm in there. He's also a jiu-jitsu black belt, and you could see it whenever he was in that submission hold. Like, he was very, very calm, and I don't see him like panicking or getting caught in those submissions. So I'm going to pick Pantoja. I think Pantoja is really, really good, honestly, and I don't see him losing to anybody anytime soon, unless it's Moreno, just because I'm biased. All right, I would love to see that fight again, Moreno and Pantoja. I think those are the 2 best flyweight in the world right now, but for this fight, I'm going to pick Alexandre Pantoja by first round TKO. It might end up on the ground, whatever, but I think Pantoja is just going to clip, and his power is different than the Royval's power, in my opinion. Let's move on. Welterweight's main event, Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. Very, very hard, man. Very, very hard. Usually, the main events are the ones I'm more sure about. Because I know more about each fighters. I know more about the story. I know more about everything. So it's usually the easiest. But man, I've been going back and forth as well with this matchup, just because there's a lot of unknown here. Like Colby's coming back from like almost 2 years off. Like, how is he going to be? He's 35, 36 years old. Is he the same cardio? He has the same pressure and pace? Because that's a super, super big factor. Hopefully you guys don't listen to that shit, bro. But it's a big factor, because if Colby has the same relentless pace and pressure, it could be a tough night for Leon. It really could. But I just think that, Leon has said this. Colby's last 5 guys were all, either Kamaru Usman 2 times, who's, not the best, fast technical striker the way Leon is. And the other guys like Robbie Lawler, who else he fought? He fought Tyron Woodley, he fought Masvidal in between all of those. Those are all older guys that, don't have the same stamina, reflexes, striking abilities, and speed as Leon Edwards. I think, Leon Edwards said this, and I believe it. He's going to be in for a shock in terms of, like, his skills. I think Leon's so good. He's also a very, very tall, strong welterweight. He might not look like it, but he's tall, man. He's long, and I think he might be able to outpoint Colby on the feet and do enough damage that it kind of, like, frustrates Colby into, like, shooting for takedowns over and over again. He might do it in the first round, but I think over the first, second, and third round, it's going to take a toll, and I see Edwards TKO in the third round against Colby. That's my prediction, but I also obviously see a Colby Covington 50-45. It could happen. It really could happen. Colby might just be the same guy that we know and, like, just shoot nonstop against Leon, and, it's a possibility, but I trust Leon Edwards' striking ability and takedown defense to hold up, and his striking just might take a toll on Colby and, throughout the fight. So those are my picks. Leon Edwards by third round TKO. Pantoja by first round TKO. Shafkat by first round TKO, ground and pound. Paddy, submission in the third round. And Ian Garry by TKO in the second round. All great fights. Let me know what your predictions are down below. I'd be happy to know what you have to say, what your thoughts are on all of those wonderful fights. And hopefully I'm not wrong on, 100%. Hopefully I get a few right. I'm picking pretty much all like favorites, so I don't think I'm going to be wrong on a lot of them, let's be honest. But it's going to be a sad night seeing like Ian Garry win, Paddy win, and Tony lose again, and Stephen Thompson. Yeah, it might be a rough night. Hopefully those are all great fights. They show up great, and no bad injuries. Anyways, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace out.